Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 648 of the Drunk Nerds podcast. I'm host, as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I'm feeling kind of excited. End of one year. A lot of forgettable things about last year, but at the same time, I'm more than excited about this year. And quite honestly, I'm feeling very rejuvenated and I'm feeling very much full of energy. So, because it's also the game of the year time once again. But other than that, how are you doing, Tyler?
One second, one second, one second. There we go. Better now. Better now. Just cracked a beer. You're right, Gables. It is Game of the Year podcast timing. It's one of my favorite shows we do every year. Look forward to it all year round. It really is just the whole process. It's honestly some of the most fun is just putting the list together. But yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good. We took last week off to we had a podcast we pre-recorded a long time ago to put in for last week so we can have a week off. I made Gables rank the Zeldas and did really well for us for our channel on YouTube especially. So yeah, if you guys didn't check it out, listen out. As I think one of our best podcasts we've ever done. It's always really funny to just make Gables squirm a little bit. That and the Mario ranking the Mario stuff like that. Just kind of like the odd offshoot podcasts we do are always really fun. So that was a really good one. So highly recommend you go check that one out. Thank you guys, people that did. That really came out for that one. Posted a bunch of YouTube shorts of that too, and those did some decent numbers for us. Got some fun responses from people. I'll say that. Surprising though, most people pretty chill about it. Did not get as negative as I was worried they would.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is the Game of the Year podcast. We do our top 10 every year. We don't know what our list is. It's a fun surprise for everybody. But yeah, so if in case you don't know, before we get into actually all that, this is a video game podcast. Every week, Gables and I get together, talk about video games, everything we love about them, everything we hate about them, everything in between. We're two guys. We have full time jobs. We do this for fun. So we don't make money off of this. We pay money to do this podcast. We spend a lot of money doing this podcast. So the best way to really we don't ask. We don't have a Patreon. There's no way to support us directly with money. So really the best way to do it is just like, subscribe, follow us. We're on everything. There's a link down below for description in the description with YouTube and Apple Podcast, Spotify, pretty much any podcast service are on it. Big thing we're pushing is YouTube. We're getting up there in subscribers to get to the point where we can actually make ad revenue on this. Even though I know it won't be a lot, but hey, if Gables and I could buy some Starbucks once or twice a year, yeah, I'd call that a win. That's a good win. That's a win for us. So if you can help us out in that way, that's really the only thing we really ask for is a few clicks of the button and some of your time every week. So normally when we do these, we like to have these like a nice in the bottle episode. Like you can watch these, like they're kind of evergreen. You can watch them whenever. There's no real we always do them beginning of usually the last week or first week of the year. Um, but we don't really talk about other things like as far as news or big things are happening because, but we have heard the rumors of potentially the Switch 2 being announced
Mm-hmm.
and next week. The plan is we always break this up into two parts. So then that Gables and I can have a week off because we only ever get 1 or 2 weeks off a year. And they're usually around this time. So last week and
Yep.
then next week would be our weeks off from our week because we record these on Saturday night. So it takes up our one free evening we have every week. Yeah. So but if the Switch 2 is actually announced in the next 7 days, we will break the tradition and we'll be back next week. And we'll
Mm.
push the part two out a week. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping they might announce something this week so we can pivot now, but that didn't happen. So that is the plan. If something does happen, we will change things and we will be back for that and talk about it. But other than that, the plan is part one today when this comes out Sunday morning, and then part two will be out next week for you guys, and then we'll be back finally with going back to our normal episodes like news and what we've been playing stuff like that. But that is the plan for right now. So yeah, just keep if something happens, we'll be back. If not,
Mm.
business as usual. But anyways, yeah. So Gables and I, we do this every year. This is our 12th year doing it. We've been doing it every year since
Yeah.
2013. We've done a top 10 list. Actually, 2013 we did a top five list, and which is crazy because 2013 is a great year. I don't know how we did five. Um, but yeah, so ever since 2014 we've done a top 10 list, and like I said, we don't know each other's list. We obviously we know ours, but we don't. That's all the information we have on it. I do, in cases maybe this is like your first time listening or whatever, and maybe like already you don't, maybe you only jumped in recently, whatever. I thought it'd be kind of fun to go and just kind of recap, just to kind of get a better understanding of us as gamers, of like our past winners. So I have all of our winners going back to the beginning here. So I have Gables here from 2013. He had Pokemon X. 2014 Mario Kart 8. 2015 Mario Maker. 2016 breaking it off from Nintendo here for a little bit for Uncharted 4. 2017 going back to Nintendo with Mario Odyssey. 2018 Celeste. 2019 Fire Emblem's Three Houses. 2020 Persona 5 Royale. 2021 Guardians of the Galaxy. 2022 was Elden Ring, and 2023 was Street Fighter 6. Um, and then for me, 2013 was Last of Us. 2014 was South Park Stick of Truth. 2015 Metal Gear Solid 5. 2016 Last Guardian. 2017 Horizon Zero Dawn. 2018 God of War. 2019 Gears 5. 2020 Last of Us Part 2. 2021 Life is Strange True Colors. 2022 God of War Ragnarok, and 2023 Hi-Fi Rush. So that is kind of like our overall, like, that's each other's game of the years. And then we have like the overall game of the years. Like we like we do a point system where if
Mm.
it's your first, if your number one game, you get 10 points. If you get if it's the number 10 game, it gets 1 point. Everything in between. We used to have, like, we had other people in the past do this with us. We had Jake for the first few years, the first 4 or 5 years, and Justin was with us for in the middle there for a few years. I think for like 3 or 4 years. So we had more people, but kind of overall point wise, 2013 we had Bioshock Infinite was our overall game of the year. 2014 was Mario Kart 8. 2015 was oops, sorry, I hit my mic. 2015 was Mario Maker. 2016 was Uncharted. 2017 was Mario Odyssey. 2018 was Celeste. 2019 was Untitled Goose Game. 2020 was Ghost of Tsushima. 2021 was Guardians of the Galaxy. 2022 was Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I always laugh at the Untitled Goose Game one too. 2023 was Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So that's kind of
Mm.
overall how our list works out every year. So like I said, we've been doing this. But yeah, Gables, should we just jump into it, buddy?
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right. Do you want to start off, or do you want me to start off, buddy?
All right. I'm going to go ahead and
All
start
right, here we go,
off.
baby.
So, my number 10 game of the year is probably going to be surprising to you and also to a lot of people listening, but Buckshot
Okay.
Roulette was my number 10 game of the year, and for good reason, too. Out of everything that I had a chance to play last year, this one was fairly unique because it wasn't like a long overdrawn out experience like 70 to 100 hours or this or that. I didn't have to do any like it wasn't like a Souls like. It wasn't like, say, a rogue like this or that. It wasn't like the usual stuff that I would delve into. No, this is something that was just off the cuff, and it was just something random during the time, like around my birthday, to where it's like, okay, well, there's a bunch of games that are coming out on Steam. It was just a casual Steam pickup. It was only a few bucks, and I'm like, okay, let's give this a shot. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll forget about it in a week. So I did it and I started playing it, and then I spent like about a few hours at first and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed the aesthetic of the game itself because you're basically inside of a room with faces off against a like someone else and stuff, and the whole thing is like a rock paper scissors sort of thing, to where you're playing Russian roulette, right, against somebody else and stuff. But you have all these different items you can use. You basically have all these different types of like things that'll help influence you to try to like basically shoot your opponent and stuff. It's like you guys take turns trying to shoot like either yourself or your opponent and stuff. And basically, if you time it just right and you keep track of how many bullets you use and this and that, then all of a sudden it's like you can either win a match or you could just like it just becomes a game of like a lot of mind games work into the consideration, because if you use the bullet or something like that, or you try to use your shot against your opponent now and stuff, and it's a blank, then during the next, you have more likely of like a chance to where you could actually hit yourself by accident and stuff and doing this. So it becomes from what was like grandly like a 2 or 3 hour experience for me, ended up becoming more like it's sort of like a mental chess match, to where I don't get that type of satisfaction or get that type of like say thrill of playing the games of that type too often. It was consistently it was just consistent to what it was, really. I mean, it's something I'm not used to playing. It's something that was creative and stood out enough to where it's not just another platformer. It's just not another RPG. This is something that you can play with friends online, and it's just like a few bucks to boot and stuff. But I thought the aesthetic of the game was pretty cool because it's you're inside of like this casino, right? And it's like in a back room and stuff, and you basically have this big old poker table, and it's just you have a shotgun, your opponent has a shotgun, right? And it's like you can use like items like cigarettes or beer or something like that to influence in terms of like either regaining health or like loading an extra shot in the chamber or some of your shotgun and stuff in order to try to get better odds of hitting your opponent. But yeah, number 10, Buckshot Roulette. It is absolutely a fun experience if you play with like maybe a group of friends, like you take turns and stuff, and it's only a few bucks to
Yeah.
boot. So it was my number 10 of the year because it was that good in my honest opinion. And quite honestly, listeners, or even people who are watching this video now, I owe it just you owe it upon yourself to at least give this game a shot. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But for me, it really hit.
Yeah. Oh, very nice, Gables. All right, starting off with the bang there. I'm also going to start off with the bang, Gables, a game that you
Yeah.
probably knew was on my list, but maybe didn't know it was going to be this low. Starting off with number
Okay.
10 here, Metaphor Refantasio.
You know, I knew it was going to be on your list. And quite honestly, yeah, that is kind of surprising that it's number 10. I thought it would be at least in the middle tier
Yeah,
for you.
so Gables, if you would have asked me 50 hours in, I was like, God damn, this might be game of the year. Like that's where I was. Um, and I would say like what really did it for me is like that game peaked, like was fantastic. Like about 50 hours in, like a big sequence of events happened, and like I don't want to spoil anything. Like we're gonna try to keep spoilers to a minimum when we do these. Um, but I was like, oh my, like this whole sequence of events was
Hmm.
amazing. I'm like, this is fucking incredible. I love when the story is going, the battles, the boss fights, all this, the music, everything is happening here is fantastic. And then there's like another like 25 hours to the game, and it
Hmm.
like I feel like obviously like there's a lot going on in the game. There's more to like there's like there's more than just there's more than just this great story and these characters. Like there's these all these characters and the characters are great. Like I love the like the links that you have, the social links you have with people. Like there's not only like I think like 12 in the game. I maxed all those out. I thought most of them like the stories that they told with all these, I liked all the characters. I thought where the story landed with most of these characters was really really good. There was a few
Hmm.
like okay, that kind of like that was kind of lame ending and stuff like that. But like, all right, there's like 12. They can't all be fucking home runs here. Um, but like, I just felt like honestly the main story, just kind of like peaked there. And once we started like things fell into place, they started like the mystery started to become solved and all that. It's just like it just kind of fell flat for me. And I was just kind of like, really, especially too with that great peak we had here. It was like man, like if like there was like maybe like that was like the lead up to like the last part of like the one more like all right, cool, we're at like the this is the it here, you can jump into the finale. It would probably
Hmm.
be like if we skipped everything in between to like the final like dungeon and final boss fight, it'd probably be top 3, top 4. But it was just like this game just dragged on for so long, and like I said, like the big twists, the big like once the like the main story stuff started like unveiled itself to you, it really just like I said, if I just did not it did not land for me. I didn't think it was great, but like what I mean, it's still this game is still fantastic. I think the problem is like I said, if this game was 60 hours instead of like I think I ended up with like 78, it would have made a big difference. There's like that big gap, like I said, just like solving the stuff. Like I felt like man, like the like once you get to like the point of no return, it's like another like 10 hours of game after that. The point of no return it is
Ah.
like the longest like point of no return I've ever played in a video game. Uh, like multiple dungeons like long, and I was just like
Oh
at that
wow.
point like you get to that point and it's like you're expecting like maybe 3-4 hours like to like one dungeon, a couple boss fights and you're done. Move on, finale, go from there. And it just like dragged on to the point like where I was like at the end, like I was just like I was so ready for the game to get over. So like I was like, going through the whole game like not skipping any fights with anybody. Like I was going in, I was taking everybody out to like because I wanted to make sure like there's not in this game there's not really a lot of chances to grind a lot. So like I don't want to miss those opportunities. Like
Mm.
you know you do it like in the main line of the game, and I was just like skipping fights by the end. I'm just running to the final boss fight, and it just dragged on. I thought that final boss fight was just kind of lackluster, which sucks in like a gigantic game like this. Unfortunately, yeah, like I know this is the game of the year, and I know I'm being very negative here, but I'll get to the good stuff here. But it's like this is the reason why it's 10 and not 3 or 4 is kind of what I'm explaining here. But I just like we have this gigantic game. You get to like the finale of this boss fight, and I just thought it was kind of a lame boss fight. It wasn't like super. It wasn't like this great like all these different things happening. Like it was just kind of like it was a long fight, but it was like it was just me like all right, it was just like I know what I need to do. I mean, not to say it was like super easy, but it was just like I know the steps I have to do here, and it's just like I was like fighting a tank basically of like where like
Mm.
I'm just chipping away at his HP bar until it's finally gonna go away. But it just took like 30-40 minutes to get there. But it was like all these different crazy things that happened. It was just like this long boss fight of just like chip damage until I finally got to the end. But the reason it's number 10, the reason why it was so high on my list to begin with was those first 50 hours. Like I thought Luis, like the main bad guy, was fucking awesome. He was so easy to hate.
Mm.
But also it was like he's like the best boss fight or the best like um, villain where like he thinks like you can see his argument. Like you can like he thinks he's right. He's not just doing this because I'm a bad guy and I'm doing bad things. Like he thinks what he's doing is the best thing for like the land. He thinks what
Mm-hmm.
he's doing. And, like you can honestly like there's arguments he makes throughout the game. Like well, he's making some good points here. You know, it's like, but like the way he's going about it is bad. But like what is like what he's saying, like you could see, like yeah, like that doesn't sound bad, but like he's doing bad things to get there. But like I said, like it was like the journey along the way. I thought the combat was really good. And the combat like in most of these games seems like it's pretty excellent. Um, but like the best parts of this game is like is your crew, is your team with you, and like those are my favorite games. Is like when you got a great team with you and just having a fun time, having a good time with this crew that you have. And I thought this was an excellent crew of people on your team. Like Hulkenberg and Juna. I don't want to say too many others because I don't want to spoil things, but like them being on your team were just amazing. Like Heisme is maybe one of my favorite characters ever in video games. And like
Mm.
I really thought Heisme and Juna's like their social links when you finish them up were awesome. They lived up to like what I wanted from them. And like that's what like really tied me through the whole thing was just like obviously and on top of that great fucking music like the boss theme in this or the battle theme in this is like I heard it 3,000 times and I every single time I was like fuck yeah like and there were so many moments in this game of like I audibly went let's fucking go like especially the first like 10 hours I think I said like 12 times I was like let's fucking go like every time like you're like basically your character would get like the I don't know, I guess like their essentially their persona in this game, unlock their persona.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like it was so fucking hype of like they would literally rip their heart out of their chest and speak into it like a microphone, and it was this whole like cutscene, and I was like yeah, this is fucking awesome, man. Let's go. Like it was always fun and always cool. There's so many great moments. It's like I'm not like this is still a fantastic game. Like it's gonna be a lot of people's game of the year, are gonna be probably top two, top three, and I'm not gonna argue with them. Like I this like I just for me that last third of the game did not hit for me. And like I said, like we get that point of return, and there's a long gap in there of like it gives you plenty of time to like wrap everything up. And like I maxed out all the social links. I did every like bounty. I did almost all the side quests except for like there's like the like super hard like there's like 2 dungeons I didn't do. We have to go and like fight. There's like 3 dragons you can fight, and there are 3 different dungeons. I did one of them. There was the other two, and I was like looking up like, is it worth it like to do this, to put the time into it? And I was like, at that point, I was like so ready for this game to be over. I'm just like, I had all the time, I had plenty of time to do it, and like that would have been like, I would have done everything in the game if I did those 2 things. And I was just like, I don't want to do them. I just want to get the game over with. And then the game is like, you know, I kind of hit that wall. Like, but it's like I liked everything else. Like I liked all the other side quests. I liked the bounties. I liked the dungeons in the game. I loved all the characters in the game. But it was just like I was so disappointed by the final story part that's why it's dropped to where
Mm.
it is right now here at number 10. Um, but all right, Gables. Let's go into number 9, buddy. What is your number 9?
Okay, so number nine is going to be kind of interesting because this is a game that you got the code for last year and you gave to me, and I looked at it and I'm like, what the hell
Oh
is
God.
this? And then all of a sudden, it's like I started playing it and I started to enjoy it. And at the same point, it's so it's so dumb when I think about it in retrospect because this is the type of game that I thought I would absolutely hate, but I ended up extremely liking it, and that was
I already typed it
RZ.
in. I already knew what it was. This is
The
awesome.
jewel that was the jewel of Faramore and stuff. The thing about it is this game pays like homage to the old Zelda ZD like CDI games as like the art style, the characters, the ad lib like sort of like stupid like voiceovers and stuff. But the thing about this in my opinion is like the best way they could have possibly have done it because this is like quintessentially like if like a Philips CDI game was good. And it was so funny because it's like the different characters you would interact with and stuff, and it's like the the gameplay is just kind of like a simple sort of like it's like a like a platformer. It's like a platformer, right? It's like you go the different times of the stages and stuff, and you go and you collect certain items and you upgrade like your weapons and this and that. But the boss fights were pretty funny in some aspects. I mean, there was oh god, there was literally one and stuff your face the facing like this bird boss or something like that, where you had to climb up these vines and shit, and all of a sudden it's like his death animation and stuff was just kind of it was just kind of extremely hilarious in terms of that that stuff. And then it's like the side character that's supposed to be like along the side of like you defeating the final boss and stuff like that. It's like in the first instance of like their callback or something to how that main boss or some that main bad guy got sealed up and stuff. The guy was just there. He didn't do anything like mostly like anything like major or something like that. And the whole joke is that he's like there, but he's just there to be there and stuff like that. And so that kind of like that kind of comes up maybe a couple times with the entire quest or anything, but yeah, that's just one of a few different types of funny stuff that happened inside of this RZ game and stuff. But I did enjoy the music in this game. I did enjoy the fact that it forced you to go back to previous courses and then collect certain items and this and that. I didn't collect everything inside that game. I thought that maybe if I do go back to this game and stuff that I would probably try to get the rest of the stuff. But from what I played and from what I experienced and stuff, and then and then going through all those boss battles and stuff, and all these freaking like bosses that are just so weird, outlandish and stuff, and then like go to that final boss battle and stuff, and then having to go through that rigmarole, that final stage, and it was like, yep, this is like a '90s game sort of final battle in a platformer, to where it's like it's obtrusely sort of like difficult, but at the same time, it is, it was what it was. It just brought me a lot of entertainment, and I laughed quite a few times at like the just at the cutscenes themselves. But the thing about it that just when I go back to my time playing RZ, it's like they did like the developer of this game, ironically called CDI, CEEIEIE games and stuff, absolutely nailed it to what they wanted to do with their vision with this game. They wanted to make this as close to the CDI like a game as possible, which they used a lot of the same software techniques and everything else that were present in those games. However, they tweaked it to where the game actually felt great to play. Obviously, getting a lot of the voice actors and stuff from like other CDI games definitely were present here. It just added to more authenticity of it. But yeah, RZ's my number nine game of the year.
All right. Very fun start here. Uh, I love that. It's like as soon as you started talking, I'm like, all right, I know what it is. That was awesome. Um, all right. Well, mine's probably the latest addition to the like to the list this year. It is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Oh,
Yeah, a game that like obviously just came out of about less than a month ago at this point of recording. That I don't know. I really didn't know what to expect. Like I'm a huge Wolfenstein fan. Like I've been like one of those people that was like very disappointed that we weren't getting Wolfenstein 3, and I was like, I mean, it was just like, what do we to expect out of the Wolfenstein team making an Indiana Jones game, and it's like, I'm like, well, they're really great at killing Nazis. We know that, but I'm like Indiana Jones is not Wolfenstein. Like these are two totally different style of games, totally different style of genre. The fact they basically made a Dishonored game like with in Indiana Jones, and the fact that it was also great is just amazing. It's and so great how they pulled this off. Troy Baker as Indiana Jones is awesome. Like he kills it throughout. Like I mean, for the most part, like if there's like a few like things where like you can kind of tell it's not Harrison Ford, but like I think I talked about when I talked about a few weeks ago on the podcast where like it's so great where like I thought Troy Baker like as in like he really nailed the Harrison Ford like when he yells like he had like this is like this gravel to his voice and he like absolutely
Hmm.
like just nailed like it just sounds just like Harrison Ford. So it'd be like interesting if I did like a side by side thing or like like you I would be like if I could tell the difference between like the characters but between Troy Baker and Harrison Ford. But yeah, just like I mean, it was kind of like it's just also a nice surprise. Like the come out of this like I wasn't expecting this to be bad. I thought like like I was thinking, oh, this game will be fine. It'll be good. Maybe like like a high sevens type of game maybe, and like be blown away by this game and like like also like it reviewed so well. It's just like I talked about a few weeks ago, where it's like I'm just kind of bummed this game just kind of came out in like mid December. And it's just like kind
Mm.
of gonna like it's almost just kind of like it came out like didn't really seem to have a lot of fanfare because a lot of people like are kind of like we're all kind of wrapped up for the year. We're ready to go on the next year and everything like that. We're looking forward, and this just kind of drops. And it's like, man, it's kind of a disappointment. But like, anyways, like I was just blown away by like each area was like there's like a few open areas to the game, and like they all kind of have their own different like totally different styles to them, and you have to play them on their own like completely different way. Or like a lot of people were saying like the first open area is like the Vatican, and a lot of people were like, I just
Hmm.
gotta get to the Vatican and like it'll really catch people from there because I heard a lot of people were saying that first the beginning is slow, but like I really like the Vatican. Like that one's like there wasn't so much like a lot of combat, a lot of stuff like that. It was like very much like you being disguised and like or like being very like this one really focused on stealth. Probably the most on stealth. Like we had to be stealthy. And like I really liked it. And like there's like some of like the area, like some of like the side stories in the game. Like I did all of the like side stories that have actual stories to them. There's like collectibles, side missions, side quests you can do, and I did some of those, but I'm like I don't really care. But like every single like one that actually had like cutscenes to them and like stuff like that, I did. Like they were all really good. Like they had like the actual like it wouldn't just go to this area you've been to 1,000 times to do this thing here and now this area now. Like it was like they had their own like sections to them that you can only get to by doing these side missions, and like they had whole like characters that aren't in the main game. Like you would totally miss out. Like there's one where like you find an old protege of Indiana Jones and has some like it's actually like a
Hmm.
really good puzzle, like really good puzzles and really good like some really good story building to that, and like the way she was like upset with him because basically he's like she's like I idolize you and you don't even know who I am, you don't even remember me, it's like you were my teacher for 4 years and blah blah blah. And like one of them like where this Nazi stops you when you're dressed as a priest, and he pulls you into like the to do confession, and like you find he admits to he impregnated his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mom, and like this like whole like side stuff to it is like just incredible. Like and they're so fun, and
Hmm.
like they have the sound effect from like the punching from the Indiana Jones movie, and dude, I threw 1,000 punches, and it's almost like throwing the axe in God of War, or like it never felt old, and just like landing a punch and
Hmm.
hearing the punch sound effect was always it just always felt great, and it also helps you always punching Nazis too, which is punching Nazis just feels great. It's almost as it's honestly maybe more fun than shooting them. Um, but yeah, it was like and then, like just like the dumb shit you do, like you don't have, like you have a gun, but you like ammo's limited, and it's like I played the whole game without shooting my gun, except for like the few parts of the game where like, you had to use your gun. But like you have your whip you can use and stuff like that, like the grab enemies or like knock weapons out of their hand. But like just picking up random objects, like fucking picking up a fly swatter and like knocking it me out with a fly swatter, or like finding a banjo and like breaking a banjo over her head like Jeff Jarrett, or like just like finding like a broom hitting a Nazi from behind the nuts, and like just like all the dumb shit you can do throughout. Like the game is just like it's just dumb shit. It's like they were like willing to kind of be like kind of goofy and sit like Indiana Jones is like he's a goofy like it's a serious it's like it's fairly serious movie, but it's like either willing to be like it's always been goofy, but like they were willing to go like a level of goofiness with this where I was not expecting it to go. Like I really was like, all right, like Uncharted is basically Indiana Jones the video game. And it's like, are they just gonna make Indiana Jones like rip like a video game but ripping off Uncharted? And it's like, no, it's like it's a totally different style game. Like there are definitely like there are like these big set pieces. There are things obviously in common because like I said, Indiana Jones is basically the video game version of Indiana Jones. But like the set pieces are great. The story is really good. Like I said, Indiana Jones is awesome. Like it really just felt like like everything about this game, like it felt like they like this is like if you were to try to make Indiana Jones the movie into a video game, they they nailed it perfectly. This is exactly if you were to make a video game version of Indiana Jones. I can't think of like something like that can take an IP from something different and put it into like a different genre and make it like just exactly what you think it should be. And like they nailed it. Like we've seen so many different like IPs, like they try to make a video game based off a movie, or they try to make a movie based off a video game, vice versa, what TV show, whatever. And it's just like we've seen some good ones, especially in the last few years now. But like this is maybe the best we've ever seen a video game version of that. Like it is
Hmm.
excellent, and it's on Game Pass. Like this game is it is amazing, especially if you like stealth games or Dishonored or whatever. Like it is a fantastic game. So that is my number 9, Indiana Jones. Gables, what is your number 8, buddy?
Okay, so number 8 for me is the game that I've been playing most of since it's since it's came out, and that is Pokemon
Oh, okay,
TCGP.
okay, okay.
Okay, so the Pokemon trading card game Pocket. Since that game launched and stuff, I've been playing it off and on like every day since it's been announced, since it's been launched and stuff, either opening packs or just constructing little bits of decks and stuff. But ultimately, one of the reasons why I like this game so much is because it satisfied a desire that I've had for quite a while, and that is to play the Pokemon trading card game when I actually want to, without having to like try to track down someone in real life or try to have like a tablet or something to try to get like a separate game that I have a little interest in. But I like that Nintendo went to the route of constructing the trading card game in a presentable way to where it's a free to play game. You can spend money on certain gold stuff in order to get like open packs and do this and that if you want to. But everything that I've done in this game has been completely free from the get go. I've gotten so many great cards. I've gotten so many great fun little freebies and stuff and from not even like spending any money or something, but yet the way that the game presents its content, even if like for someone that cannot afford maybe to play a lot in terms of like say with the money stuff or this or that, I thought that was really awesome because there are certain free to play games that are out from other developers that you only get like maybe a chunk of what you can initially do, but you are required to go through and pay just to get everything that you can completely do. For this game, for this game, it feels like you get so much bang for your buck that you could literally like say save a whole bunch of the little bits of like the currency stuff that you earn through like say opening packs or satisfying different conditions, like say collecting certain cards or like doing wonder trades or like any type of stuff of that magnitude. Like it does have its own separate like individual solo battling stuff you can do. You could face off against certain deck types and stuff that could be familiarized inside of like say the initial format currently for Pokemon TCG and stuff. And you could earn like various rewards and that will help you in terms of opening more packs and stuff. This game is quintessentially a gotcha game, but at the same time, this is the first time I've actually played a game of its type to where it's actually hooked me to the extent where I want to play this game every day, pretty much. And what's kind of hilarious, I just got a little bit of a pop up
You
right
do.
here. It's like, hey, you got to open your next pack. Like,
So you can say this
God,
game gotcha, Gables.
God damn it, Tyler. But some of the most fun I've had in this game is been playing against different people online. Obviously, I get destroyed because people love to use the most broken cards possible. That's just the thing in any trading card game, any type of meta. You'll come across people that'll use like some of the strongest cards possible for certain deck types. I've played against Pikachu themed ones. I've played against like a Blastoise themed one that had Vaporeon as a support. And basically, the whole aspect and strategy around that deck was to have Vaporeon out as soon as possible, and basically you can move all the different water energy from like all the monsters, like all the Pokemon that you have on your bench to the active Pokemon. So it could be one of those deciding factors to where you could take control and win a game because say your Vaporeon's on the bench and it's got like three like water energy attached to it, but you have your Blastoise in active like position and stuff, and then you can use the Vaporeon's ability to transfer all that, and all of a sudden you have enough for your Blastoise to win the game. It's just situations like that, or even like trying to devise certain counters for certain deck types is fun because, for example, that same deck that I was just mentioning with the Blastoise and the Vaporeon, you can like I've made a deck that could like conspicuously and like aggressively attack that to where not just I'm using Pikachu in terms of its one of its big abilities in terms of being powered up based upon having a full bench of Pokemon. But I also implied certain creatures and stuff that would try to eliminate the need of my opponent switching out consistently by using like say El Gavantula, this big old electric tarantula, which if you attack your opponent and stuff, it cannot switch out the Pokemon. So basically they cannot use little trainer cards or some or anything else that could help switch out their active Pokemon. They're just stuck there. And so that's how one of my games went to where my opponent started out with like having two Articuno or something on his bench. He has his Vaporeon and stuff. I just took out like one of his like other Pokemon and stuff. And basically I took out one of his basic Pokemon. He had Articuno in the active position. I finally got it to where I evolved my Joltik into a Galvantula. This Electro Tarantula basically attacks the Articuno twice because that Articuno does not have any water energy. Because what's funny enough is I end up knocking out my opponent's Vaporeon first, so that eliminated one factor, and then doing a lockdown tactic helped me win that match. But it's just the idea that I can do stuff like that so quickly and easily while playing a gotcha game and not having to spend a hell of a lot of money in order to incorporate those type of strategies. That's a big one for me because one of my most played games on basically almost any system right now has been like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duelist. No, not Master Duelist, but like Legacy
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Duelist.
Okay.
And part of the reason why I loved playing that game over and over and over is because I loved doing different types of deck types from Exodia stuff through Dark Magician stuff through like not just like burn stuff, but like Jinzo themed decks or whatever. Yeah, I'm more old school with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, I mean, come on. I've been playing that damn game since it's first started in the
We're old.
US. Um, but yeah, it's just was one of those positives of my life to where it's like if I was in bed and I had a hard day at work or hard time at home or something, and I just wanted to play something before going to bed, I just power on my phone, maybe open a pack or two or something that I accumulated, and just do a couple of battles, and it's like, okay, well, I'm good to go. I'm falling asleep, and that's ended up becoming one of my favorite games of the
All right.
year. So Pokemon TCGP number
Wow.
8.
Who would have thought that in 12 years of doing this, you'd be the first one to not only do a free to play game but a mobile game? Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy? I don't like mobile
Yeah. Free to
games.
free
And
to
yet
play and
this
mobile are
one
not your thing.
actually you want to know the other mobile game I played almost to this much an extent? And it was an obscure one. It was Tiny
Oh
Wings
wow.
on the fucking
Yeah.
iPhone. And that's it.
Yeah. That's wild. All right. Well, let's jump into my number 8 then here. One that's kind of like blew up early in the year and like I still go back to somewhat regularly and play. That is Helldivers 2. Um, this is
Oh
like
yeah.
a game that I have like I'm not a big multiplayer guy at all. Like I'm pretty bad at these. Like I'm not the best at video games really in general. Like but I think like especially like that's why I don't usually play a lot of multiplayer because it's not fun when you're like the bad guy on the team.
Mm.
I have not been this hooked on like a multiplayer game. Like I'll dabble in like Fortnite every now and again, jump into that for like a season or something like that. But like it's great because I'm just playing by myself, you know. But like I'm not playing on a team, you know. And like I've not been this hooked on a multiplayer game since Rocket League, like a decade
Mm.
ago. Um, and it just like this is a game of just like it is moments. Like that's what makes this game. Like I'm playing mostly by my like I'm jumping in with like randos and stuff like that. Like I've only played like I don't know, like I got over 40 hours in this game. I probably played with other people 8 of those hours, like with actual like friends, and like chatting with
Hmm.
people. Like the rest of it has just been me like just jumping in random matches or people jumping into my match, stuff like that. But like this game is just all about the moments of just like even dumb shit happening with strangers. Like I have so many moments on my PS5 that like I saved the last like 60 seconds of or whatever, and like I posted a bunch of them as YouTube shorts on our YouTube channel. Like you can watch those on here, and I think I got more still like at a private that I can post in time. Um, I've just so many like dumb moments throughout the year of just like I remember like playing with a group of friends. Like one of the nights I played with a group of friends, like we had to like detonate like essentially the nuke in this video game, and like my armor, like one of like this the things on is like give it 50-50 chance of surviving a kill blow. And like even like this game, like especially at launch, like there was like weird like bugs, like not actual like the enemies in the game, but like glitches and stuff. And like there was like
Hmm.
one moment where like I set I detonated like the I set the base of the nuke to blow up, and you have like a 30-second countdown to like get out of there. But like my guy accidentally like clipped into the bomb, so I was stuck and like couldn't move. And like I'm like, oh no! And we had no respawns left, and I was like, oh no! We're all freaking out because like this is the last thing we gotta do to get out of there. And it was just like I had nothing. Like I was stuck, and there was nothing I could do. And it blew up, and it launched me like 1,000 feet, like legitimately like 1,000 fucking feet. And I'm like everybody's like, oh my god, I'm dead. Like we're like they'll survive, but like I have all this stuff on me, and like we're not gonna get like the best score. And like I survived. Like it was just this crazy thing of just that like 50-50 chance of surviving this one thing happen, or just like dumb shit. Like oh there's like remember one time there was like this like there was like a bug, it was like this is like when the game first came out. There was like this like stuff that should have been like on a table or something. It was like the table wasn't there, so like the stuff was there, but it's just floating in the air. So as a joke, I crawled underneath it and I got stuck. So it's just like it's so many dumb shit, or like me like laying like me going into like harder levels for the first time, and like
Hmm.
I was like being kind of like I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I know what I'm doing. Like I've been playing this for a little bit, and like I land and immediately land, and there's this giant fucking like robot and like a mech, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And like immediately get killed like as soon as I land. And it's just like dumb, it's like stupid shit like that, and like the fact that like there's no pay to win to this game. Like yeah, there's battle passes, there's like gear you can unlock, but like there's really not like there's no like great like there's always the meta to the game of like this stuff works like help better like these things work better in this situation. Yeah, but like there's no like you can't just go out and buy the best weapon. You can't buy the
Hmm.
gear is all basically the same. Like they're like cool, this gear might give you more health, but you run slower, or this way you can run faster but you have less health. Like there's
Right.
always like everything is really well like balanced as far as like there's positives here but there's negatives here. So like it's like like so stuff like that, like and like the fact that I was jumping with people and I'm like level 9, and I'm playing with people like level 25, and we're going into like you know like level like like the fifth or sixth ranked difficulty levels, which like I said, I'm not great at this game, and like I'm playing with friends that like they're not great either, but like like even though this guy's like 25 level 25 and I'm level 9 and my buddy's level 6, it's like because like we're all kind of like going in with like the same type of gear essentially. We could still go in there and do well. You can go in if you're good enough at the game, like you're good enough at games, like you can go in there level 1 and beat the best, the best stuff, like the high difficulty levels if you're just good enough at the game. Like this is like it's not just yeah, like that was like an early complaint. It was like, oh, you just pay to win. Like no, there's no pay to win. Like it's just yeah, you can have more shit. Like it's like Fortnite where like it's just skill. Like yeah, there's like you get higher level, you can unlock like things you can bring into the game with you, but like that's about it. And like just yeah, like I absolutely adore this game. It is just some of the most dumb fun shit that happens. Like yeah, like I mean, there's like frustrating parts. Like you have like dumb teammates that's going and like start shit, but like for the most part, like
Yeah.
the community's been like really good. Like I remember like some of the best stuff was like early, like when the game first came out, like the community like legitimately like mourning the loss of like a planet because you all have to work together to like take it's all like working together to take back planets from like the bugs or the robots and stuff.
Right.
And like there's like one of like the main planets that was like early on in the game that was like one of the main things, like that was like everybody's favorite planet to go to, and we lost it. And like it was like this whole mourning like period for game like for the community because we lost it. Like we were calling it like Helldivers Nom of like we lost it. And like there was this whole like sad period, and like I remember and it's like or like there was like the really funny like TikTok trend of like wives like posting like their like husband or boyfriend whatever playing the game, and they're like my like they're post like with sad music playing over it as like lost my boyfriend or my husband went to war, and it's just him like I've lost my boyfriends at the war, and it's like him just playing Helldivers 2, or like them adding like the game like just adding enemy types to the game without telling anybody, without posting anything. And like we had like
Mm.
one point they like added flying bugs to the game, and like so people were like writing articles and people like in the community were talking about it, and like the social teams going out like that's not those don't exist, that didn't happen. Like there's so many dumb things like them just fucking with us, like the fucking with the community of us like them adding shit to the game. It's there, we see it, and they're like no that's not real. And like the fact people took the shit so seriously, like the Reddit page where like people were like reporting people for like going out and like saying, "Hey, there's flying enemies in the game," and people would have them reported and kicked out of the Helldivers 2 Reddit page because of like them like posting going against the like what the community like what the social team and what the government and the game is saying, and it's just like dumb shit. Like the whole thing is just like great. It's one of the most fun games I played. Like even though I'm not great at this game, like I've died and failed way more than I've succeeded. It is still like every game is like just fun, and it's just always something stupid happens. So yeah, that is my number 8, Helldivers 2. Gables, what is your number 7, buddy?
Okay, so number seven shouldn't come to like any surprise and stuff from people that have watched me play certain games or something
Yeah,
like that this
Jesus
past year.
Christ.
So my number seven is going to be a DLC for Vampire
Mm-hmm,
Survivors,
mm-hmm,
Ode to Castlevania. So right there is a part of the reason why I'm a big fan of Castlevania. I loved I love the franchise. I love a lot of the games, and I especially like homages to like games from that series. Like Vampire Survivors in general is pretty much a big old homage to like games like Castlevania in general. But for last year, when it was announced, though, that it would be getting DLC, that's Castlevania, I was all in on it. And quite honestly, it was probably one of the it was one of the big reasons why I delved right back in to play more Vampire Survivors. Because it was so awesome. You had this gigantic, like this gigantic castle and stuff, and like the different like outskirts of like Transylvania and stuff. You go inside the castle, you use a bunch of different like characters from the games itself, like say Simon Belmont or Trevor or Richter or even like some of the other characters and stuff that were not associated as Belmonts, but like just like say Jonathan Morris or Eric Lecard and stuff like that. They had all these different like mainstay characters and stuff from past Castlevania games present in there. They have their own individual like weapons, their abilities and stuff. And on top of that, when you're playing on this Castlevania stage in general, you get to explore the big old homage thing of Dracula's castle in general and stuff. So the insides, you're faced off against familiar bosses that you would have played inside the games themselves. There's even one part that I remember that it's straight out of Symphony of the Night, to where you go to the specific part of this castle and all of a sudden instead of going up and down you're now going left and right, and I could recognize the corridors like, wait a minute, this is like to that prelude to the boss battle of the doppelganger. And it's like, this is the doppelganger. It's like it's basically like you against yourself. And it's kind of like how you do the doppelganger battle in Symphony of the Night, to where it's like he'll do the same moves as you're doing. And so you basically have to go and try to beat him without suffering a lot of damage. And the way that you're jumping is like going flipping up on the control stick instead of trying to dodge it with this and that. And then once you're done with that boss battle and you earn a little bit of the rewards from that, you go off of that specific room and it goes right back to the original like actual controls for Vampire Survivors. It's just little key details like that on top of the random like weapons you can pick up that are like homages like to certain type of whip types from some characters, or certain like some other bosses, like other than like the doppelganger, like say you have the puppet master from like Dawn of Sorrow. It's like you have some bit of like Medusa stuff from like some of the previous Castlevania games. It was just like a who's who of like classic Castlevania games that I've played once before, all like in this great like tribute to that franchise and stuff. It definitely felt like it definitely felt like the type of expansion that did like complement Vampire Survivors as a whole, because people from when that game was released was like, oh, this is just like a like say like a precursor, not like a precursor, but like say a spiritual like successor or something like that to Castlevania, you know? And it's like a little pun and stuff. It's like, well, there's no vampires in this game and this and that, and all of a sudden you have the Castlevania characters inside here. But still, you don't really see vampires like say Dracula or anything else of that sort. So they still play to that little like that shtick, even though it's like they got like all these vampire hunters, they got all these various like weapons, all this various stuff. So for my number 7, it was Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania. Definitely, if you're a fan of the of like Vampire Survivors or Castlevania in general, give this a shot. It's only like a few bucks on Steam, PlayStation, wherever you want to play this game. And yeah, maybe it'll be that final thing that puts you over the edge of wanting to try Vampire
Yeah,
Survivors.
and maybe Gables will finally go to rehab for Vampire Survivors this year.
Oh god,
It's been
dude.
3 years, Gables. I'm starting to get concerned.
You know, what's kind of hilarious is that was also my top played game for PlayStation
It was
in
your
2024 as
top played
well.
game on all and 3 different consoles somehow.
Xbox on the year of its launch. Then I had like
Switch
I
last
played a
year.
little bit of it on Steam, and then on my
Yeah, on
Switch,
four
and then
different
like on my
platforms.
fucking.
Jesus, if he downloads mobile game, I'm gonna call his parents. I'll I'm calling your parents. I'm having you committed.
Oh my god, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Honestly, that would be pretty
It's for
hilarious.
the good. It's for the good of everybody. We're all concerned. All right. Well, my number 7 is a game that like it was just a game that I was like I didn't really know what to think of it. Like I really thought like I mean I was like this game could be a total flop. And I'm glad to say it wasn't. It came out earlier this year. PlayStation 5 exclusive. Stellar Blade. Um,
Ah,
yeah, I was really surprised by how much I ended up liking this game. Like I was like, I remember they put that demo out, and like that was what kind of put it over the top for me. Where I was like it also helps that like it was like it was a couple hours long, and I was like going around I was having a good time just running around and like fighting a bunch of enemies. Going in that first boss fight was incredible. And I'm just like, all right, well I'm in, and like carry over to all that save stuff and everything too. That I love that demos do that nowadays. And yeah, I was blown away by this game and like the fact it was like I mean, I think maybe it was a little long in the tooth. I think it took me like close to 30 hours, but like, I also did like a ton of side stuff in this game too. So there's that. But like, yeah, like I'm someone that like loves Nier Automata, and like I've been just
mm,
like it's just a void in my life since I played Nier Automata 7 years ago plus now. Of just like missing that game, and like this is like the closest we got to it. And it's funny. I started replaying Nier Automata there last week, and it is so funny. Like I've said like from the beginning, like, oh, they're just trying to make a Nier Automata game, and like the first like hour of Nier Automata is literally just Stellar Blade. Like Stellar Blade is like like almost completely ripped off like the opening of Nier Automata. I'm like, god damn, like okay, like we knew like what they were going for here, but like gee, like they weren't even hiding it. Like I totally forgot about like the whole like opening section of this game is just Nier Automata. But anyways, like like they nailed it. Like this feels like this, but like the gameplay wise, it feels like a really good like platinum game. Like it feels like they made like they like tied all the like some of the best stuff of like a Souls like uh near to a certain extent, and like a really great like a Bayonetta 2. Like they don't nail like Nier Automata. Like the gameplay is like whatever. It's fine. It's mediocre. What makes that game so great is like puts it over the top, makes it so memorable is like the story, the music, and like the world itself. And like I feel like Stellarblade accomplishes like making like a Bayonetta 2 Souls like game. And they do a
mm.
really good job with the music. Like the music is really good, but it's like they do their best near impression with the music, and it's really good, but it's nowhere near as good as like a Near Automata. But like what kind of really drops down number 7 is like the story and the characters are kind of bad. Like I think like the actual like the world and the lore of Stellar Blade is like really cool, and I like the idea of like there's this world of like basically like this AI basically just kind of took over the planet, but like people have like figured out like kind of how to live way longer and like basically as like their body parts like their human body parts fail, they replace it with like machines, and like it becomes this whole like area of like are you more machine than human? It's not like a necessarily like a original storyline here, but like I think like the way they do it is kind of cool, and like the idea of it and like talking to people and like going into like this town like most of like the final like real city of like civilization is left. But like the best parts of this game, the most important parts of this game, other than the boobs in the butt, obviously, um, is the gameplay, and like it is phenomenal. Like it is like one of the first games that, like I am not good at like Souls like at all. Like I usually don't like Wulong is like the first one I ever got into and like actually beat and played. Like I am not good at parrying. Like I'm like I usually will cheese my way through and just like like I talk like Wulong I beat because I got like 50, 60 levels over leveled and like just focused all my like skill points into like defense basically. So I just turned into a walking tank. And that's like,
Mm.
that was kind of my way to get through this. And like Xenoblade is like, you have to like, you got to get good at parrying and like, and I actually like felt like I got pretty good at parrying throughout this game. And like, it felt great. It felt like when, especially when you hit like the perfect parry and it slows down to that bullet time and you get 3 or 4 moves in, like just like you hit that parry, you hit that block, and like you hit it just right. Like it always felt great, always felt good. 30 hours later, I thought like some of the side stories like in the game, or actually for story wise, is some of the best stuff in the game. Like some of the side characters, like there's the one where like there's like the lounge singer who's like, she's like basically all robot at this point, and like she loses like she's a lounge singer, and like her husband owns the lounge or whatever. And like you have to like fight, she lost her like voice box basically, so she can't sing now, and you have to like go basically go like one sort of like it's not a very good side story like quest to do, but like the actual the way
Mm.
the story ends up and everything is really cool. And like there's some other good side stories and some of the side characters are pretty cool. But like I thought like the combat is phenomenal. Felt great all the way through. Like the parent, like I said, got like finally getting good at like a pairing in this game. I think what kind of like hurts it too, on top of like the story and the characters not being great, is like when you do like the side quests. Like I said, like there's pretty good side quests. There's some really good like optional boss fights in this game. Some of the best boss fights in the game are like the side quest bosses. But like what's frustrating is like there's some like it's not open world, but there are open areas to go to, and some of the open areas like they don't have like fast travel points, and so you have to go back like throughout the game. Like you'll unlock side quests to go to. And throughout the game, you'll have to go back multiple times, and like you have to run through areas you've been to multiple times already to go pick up this one piece, or do like literally like 3 seconds of
Mm.
work to go pick up this item you couldn't pick up before, to like then run back and then like turn it in or whatever. And it's just like that was like stuff like that where I'm like why is there like why are these areas that have no fast travel, or why is there no fast travel, like things like that. There's like little things like that that kind of like made it frustrating for me, where like it was like it just felt like this feels unnecessary, like unnecessary. Like why is this taking this long? This like feels like an easy solution here. And that's like, I mean, when we talk about like game of the year and just like making a top 10, especially this year, I think it's been a really good year. Like little things like that is what kind of knocks it down. But like I thought like gameplay wise, like from like a gameplay game to play, like if you don't give a fuck about story or characters or anything like that, and like this game is absolutely gorgeous as well. Like it just like it looks phenomenal. Like if you just want like, hey, I want like I'm looking for like the next Bayonetta, or like the next great platinum game like style game. Like this is that. Like if you like, this may not be like peak platinum games, but like I feel like this is like S tier is like like if platinum is like S tier, this is like A tier. As far as like if you're looking for that,
Mm.
I don't give a fuck about story. Like, this is a game for you. It is phenomenal. There's some really good, like I said, there's some of the best boss fights in gaming this year. Yeah, I end up really liking this game. Number 7, Stellar Blade.
Nice.
Gables, that's your number 6, buddy.
Alrighty. So my number six is going to be an expansion. So I've played multiple different expansions during the past year and stuff, and I thought that for number six is going to be Splatoon 3 Side Order.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this one was fairly interesting because I love the crux of Splatoon 3 and how different it was from that as opposed to the previous entries of it. I like the exploring things of the overworld, this and that. Side Order takes it in a completely different direction to where it's more like a roguelike Splatoon game. So basically the core thing is you have to travel up like 100 floors and stuff from like the beginning floor all the way up to the top floor where you face off against the final boss of that expansion. Along the way, you have a chance to choose from like one of a couple different types of stages to go through to try to progress. So you complete a stage. If like based upon how difficult the stage is and stuff, you can either go up or like go up like a specific amount. But if you end up dying inside of any one of those stages, like say you have like if you lose all of your lives or something before you get to your goal, you got to restart all over again from the first floor. And for me, I thought that was I understand the premise of it. I knew I wasn't the best player when it came to, like, say, playing through a lot of the Splatoon stuff, but at the same time, this definitely provided me with a lot of, like, not just no, just provided me with, like, a lot of, like, fun opportunities to try to experiment with different weapons and stuff and try to see if I can complete certain stages a different way. And then I started getting faster going through those initial first stages and stuff, then finally getting to the stuff where I was having difficulty with, and then I was able to progress because I was finding different types of shortcuts of defeating enemies a specific way, or try to use like the scatter shot thing because scatter shot was the weapon I pretty much used from the get go, from beginning to end of it, as well as like upgrading a lot of my stats and stuff through like the little vendors and stuff, and try to get the specific types of abilities that would help me. Because that's another key aspect of some of these roguelike stuff is like they'll give you these different random sort of abilities, but yet you could upgrade certain stats of your inkling, like boy or girl or something like that, to where they would have permanent stat increases and stuff through every single run. So progressively, I had to where my attack was pretty much maxed out, from my health was pretty close to being maxed out and stuff. The ink recovery was good until I finally had the run. And the thing about roguelikes is, from what I'm starting to learn and understand, is it's like you could be doing terrible or something like that, but all of a sudden it just randomly happens you get the run to where you go all the way to the final boss, and then all of a sudden you go to this big old epic sort of like maybe 2 or 3 stage like final boss fight and stuff. And then the feeling I got after I conquered all of that, and this thing took me about a good solid like maybe 7 to 10 hours max to play through. It was a hefty chunk. This was definitely worth the entirety of, like, the expansion in general, even though the first part of it was just like, "Okay, here is, like, a particular hub stage and stuff like that for you to go forth and wait through." But, this was another one of those things where I got it, from, like, as a gift from a streamer and stuff like that through, like, a giveaway and stuff that she was doing at the time. So this was something that I had totally had gotten for free from, like, winning a giveaway from Miss Click and stuff, like, about a year and a half or so ago. And I was just waiting until, like, this expansion came out so I can go through and just go through, and it ended up becoming one of my favorite things about last year that I played, because it's one of those things where I'm still kind of relatively new at playing these roguelike type of games, but I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of the most obscure and some of the more like out of left field sort of game experiences from these type of games. So it's like Splatoon 3 Side Order I felt like was my number 6 game of the year because it was creative enough to where they used the Splatoon formula in a different way that definitely was more so than say, okay, let's clear out a whole bunch of different stages, collect a certain things, and then all of a sudden, towards the end of that first initial section, face off against a boss and then repeat this and that and stuff. To where this roguelite was like, okay, well, you can still do some of that stellar stuff like you could before, but you get to improve your inkling, like for different stat stuff. You get to use different abilities. You get to use like different weapons if you choose to, but it was much more harder of an experience, but a lot of high risk, high reward type of
Yep.
stuff. So that's why it's my number 6 game of the
All right,
year.
awesome. All right, I'll jump it into my number 6 here. Game that blew me away, and I feel like really, I really noticed how much I've grown up because I beat this game, and I only cried 6 times. That's right, my number 6 game of the year. Never. Um, yeah,
Ah,
love this game. People don't know. I'm a huge sucker for dog games. That's why like Last Guardian was my game of the year in 2016. So uh, really just pets and games. Always just kind of an easy thing for me to get into.
mm,
But yeah, like just blown away by like not only like the fact obviously playing as a dog, that's a big plus for me there, but just like I played a good chunk of Greece, and like it just like I would maybe buy the game was just like the visuals of it and the music of it,
mm.
and but I just didn't really vibe with like it wasn't too much of the gameplay. It was just I didn't really click for me, and I kind of fell off after like a couple hours. Um, but obviously, what did this for me was once again the music and the visuals. I mean, like the visuals are even better. Like, this is probably the
Mm.
most beautiful game I've ever played. Just so there's so many moments in this game where like you're not even playing, you're just holding the thumbstick left or right, you're just like running, but like in all for like like a solid like minute, not doing anything. There's no combat, there's no puzzles or no nothing, but it's just like it just pans out and it just shows you like the background and it like with music swelling, music playing, and it is just like I could have done that for 10 minutes. Just like how beautiful some of these shots and how great the music is in these points. Um, and what made a big difference here, not only that stuff, but what kept me going is like the gameplay is pretty good. Like it's not like I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh, it's best ever." This isn't Silk Song or this isn't like some of these great like Prince of Persia or something like that. Like not these great either like Metroidvanias or 2D games or whatever. But like it is really good. But like also it's pretty simplistic, but like it also is, but it's not like easy either. And like there's some really
Mm.
tough boss fights in this game. There's some tough enemies and tough sections in this game, and they do a good job. Like just like it's a short game. It's maybe 4 or 5 hours. But and there's if it's depending on how much just like side stuff you want to do. And I think I did a decent amount, but it probably took me about 4 hours, maybe 4.5 to beat. But like they do a good job of like just adding new abilities as you go. It's broken up in like 4 sections of the game, and like what's great about it is like you have your dog Neva with you, and like he starts off like you have to protect him in like the first like part of it. He's basically a puppy, and like you constantly have to save him, protect him. And then as the game progresses, he's growing up, and like like as he grows up, like he unlocks new things that you can do, and he can help you out. He can help you fight enemies and stuff like that, and like kind of help you out. Like you go from like you helping him to now he's like actually helping you, and saving you in certain situations. And like there's so many like beautiful moments in this game, and just like I said, just like so many different moments where like man like just crying, and like not even like sad parts, just like how beautiful like this moment is in this game, or just like the build up of like emotions to a game that really has no voice acting. Like it's literally just your character yelling Neva like the whole game. That's like the only like real voice acting in the game. Like but just like some like certain cutscenes where like just these crazy things happening when the music swells just right, and just like the visuals of it is just like it hits you like just like man, it's like I was so like just so emotional, like eyes welling up, and like I got to the end of the game, and like the last section of the game I was just full on like teenage girl watching The Notebook, like sob crying, like one of those like doing like the like the hyperventilating noise. Like my dog is like freaking out, staring at me, like what's going on? I gotta go hide under the bed because of the noise coming out of me, and I'm just like trying to hold it together. And like I took a picture of myself, like just because like the state I was in. I had to send it to like developers. I'm like, this is what you did to me, like I love like, but it's like I absolutely like I love this game. It is phenomenal. It's one of the greatest like indie games I've ever played. Honestly, it is phenomenal. I feel like this game could have doubled in length, and I still would have loved it. Like that's maybe my one real complaint is like I really don't have any complaints about this game. Like there's like this like for what they were trying to encapsulate in this game, it is perfect, and like I loved it. And it is like I said, it is like all the things I love in video gaming, and they did it in like this nice little like this nice package, like a 4 or 5 hour gameplay. And yeah, it's beautiful, and like at the very least, maybe this isn't a game you want to play. There is like there's like two different there's like the regular mode is there's a bit of a challenge to it, but like I said, I'm not great at video games. I made it through. There is like a story mode version where you could just kind of basically run through the game if you want to just go through the story and the moments of the game. But um, at the very least, I would say like watch a gameplay of it. Like we'll just watch a walkthrough of this because it is phenomenal. It is one of the greatest games, greatest indie games I've ever played. So yeah, my number six is Neva. Um, yeah, that's actually kind of it for the, part one here. We'll do a quick recap here for everybody in case you forgot. Um, give me 1 second here. So we have Gables 10 through 6 so far. Buckshot Roulette. Number 10 there. Number 9, Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. Number 8, Pokemon Trading Card Game. Number 7, Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania. Is that right?
Yep.
Number 6, Splatoon 3 Side Order. And my 10 through 6, number 10, Metaphor Refantasio, number 10. Number 9, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Number 8, Helldivers 2. Number 7, Stellar Blade. And number 6, Neva. So, yeah, that's going to be kind of wrap it up. As I said, top show. If nothing happens Switch wise, we will be back next week with part 2.
Hmm.
If Switch 2 stuff does happen, we will pivot and we might have to punt part 2 for a week or something like that. But that is our plan for right now. So yeah, like I said, please like, follow, subscribe, run everything. Like I said, we don't make money off this. We just do this because we have full time jobs. We just do this because we love video games. So we don't the best way to support us is just liking, subscribing, leaving comments, 5-star reviews, shares with your friends, probably the best thing you can do. And just, yeah, like I said, subscribe and follow and tell your friends. But I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds
Hey, Gables.
podcast.
Too
Yeah,
sweet.
you
Bye,
sweet man.
guys.
See ya.